Greetings, everybody. We are live again. It is the Atheist Ape Man after party. So Vin has just joined us. Our Atheist Ape Man.
That took a long time to telescope.
That's okay. Those things are awesome, man. I wish I had my old one, but I gave it to my nephew about 4 years ago. So, but I'm planning on buying a new one. Nice, great big ass one, huge sucker. So.
Yeah, no, I've just bought an 8-incher.
It's good enough.
It's the only thing in my life that's 8 inches.
Oh, I hope I get monetized.
So who's on?
Although,
who's on?
Probably not. Oh yeah, with us tonight we have Red Venture. We have Reese. I know too many Reeses, so I can't remember which one's which anymore.
I'm the crazy one.
And of course, the crazy one, yes. And of course, Atheist Ape Man and myself. So far, Duke apparently didn't want to come in or couldn't come in, whatever the case might be for him. So we'll have to TV tube me. Said he's second because he knew I was here ahead of him. So, which is funny. I've always wondered why people do that. Why they always post first on these videos.
It's like claiming you're an alpha male. It's all about superiority.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm a Zeta male.
A Zeta male? Are you trying to say that the wife wears the pants in the family? Is that what's going on?
No, I just don't have an ego.
Oh, I got you. I try to keep mine in check for the most part, but I can fall off the bike sometimes. So that's me. And that's why I bought a shirt that says, people say I'm condescending. And then underneath it says, that means I talk down to people. So, it's kind of funny.
There's a terrific baseball cap you can get that's just got, the correction, an asterisk, YOU''RE. And, no one sells it in the UK. I've seen it in America a great deal, and I've seriously thought about having it done because I would love to wear that.
Yeah, no kidding. That'd be awesome.
A grammar Nazi, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm psychotic on that. The kids have 2 different languages. I'll hear them talk to their friends, on their phones and whatever, and then they turn to me, and it's as though they're speaking a different language.
Oh yeah, it could be that way.
They're forbidden to say lots of things. Well, they're not, but I take the piss.
Sorry, I'm just rearranging my schedule thingy here. I was supposed to talk with Steve McRae on Saturday, and of course, that fell through for him because Kyle set up something for the non-sex show, so he had to bail on the interview. And then I said, well, we can do it tomorrow, completely forgetting that I was supposed to be at a Grey Cup party because it was the final game for the Canadian Football League. And I had to send him a message saying, "Oh shit, now it's my turn to move this." So he jumped in on. He'll be here on Saturday, December 1st. We're going to do it at around 4 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys aren't doing anything, you can check that out. Should be an interesting conversation. We're not going to be necessarily discussing his deconversion because he's kind of was saying to me that he told it so many times that he's kind of bored with it. And I said, okay, well, we can talk about, from your moment of clarity, we'll say, to becoming the atheist activist that you are now, or as he calls himself, an agnostic, whatever. We're going to talk about those definitions definitely because I've been noticing some of his or his conversations with other people on Twitter about definitions of atheism and agnosticism. So this should be an amusing conversation, I think.
Oh yeah, it's really picked up for him here the last couple months. You let it lay down there for a while, but now he's back butting heads with everybody again over it.
Oh yeah, including my future partner for our version of the Atheist Experience. We'll be doing our own call-in show. We'll be starting one up here probably in the springtime. So, and he was going back and forth with my friend Randolph quite a bit. That was pretty funny.
Who's this guy again? Sorry.
Steve McRae. Have you heard of the Non Sequitur show?
Yes.
Great debate community.
Great debate community, yeah. And he's one of the hosts of that show with Kyle Curtis. I got to get Kyle on here too. Should be a good one.
Yeah, he's always fun to have on.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm all about. I give no shits. I don't care what people think. I'm asking all the bigwigs if they want to come on here. Because I've already got Prophet Azad coming on, and he's fantastic. Ocean the Wizard has agreed to come on. That should be an interesting conversation because he's a polytheist. So it should be a very interesting conversation to see how he left his monotheistic belief to become a polytheist. Because I was also, well, I don't know about polytheist. I don't think I really believed in any of that shit so much as just wanted to be part of the cool crowd at the time and become a Wiccan. But yeah, and I've got Black Sofa Vlogs is also coming on. So there's some fairly known people, and of course you, Red. Lots of people know who you are. Yeah. You'll be on the 5th of December. You'll be here, which should be a good time. I think so.
I think it will be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there won't be a. Just so you guys know, there will not be a deconversion story this Wednesday because, as you know, I'm a committed blood donor, and that is the day I'll be donating blood right around the time I do these. So that's where I'll be. Maybe I'll jump on the Hangouts and you guys can watch this stuff in the process. I'll have to see if it's okay with them first. But should be interesting. They get to stick needles in me and stuff and bleed out for the vampires, so to speak.
Yeah, that's one episode I won't watch.
It's not that bad. It's funny. I was, as a kid, I was kind of afraid of needles, but the type of needles that you get, the flu shot or vaccination or whatever. Oh yeah, and that reminds me, get your fucking kids vaccinated, people. And I always thought that it would be similar to that pain level wise. And when I went in for my first donation, I was kind of cringed out a bit, and I'm like not wanting to watch it. And they're sticking the needle in, and I'm looking away, and I'm like, "Are you guys done yet?" "Oh yeah, it's in. We're already going." I'm like, "What?" Because I barely felt it. It's a totally different kind of needle because it's like fucking huge, right? It's a lot bigger than the needles that they stick in your arm for vaccines. And it's very different. You don't really notice it. And once you've had it a few times, you just get used to it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have very much luck growing up with either kind of needle. So I've been pretty traumatized about it, and I still tense up.
Well, let me ask you this then. If it came down to someone that you cared about that needed blood like right away to save their life, I'm sure you'd do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, of course, right. And that's, I think, the main thing.
Yeah, I would tough it out, but yeah, sitting down there, I had blood drawn about 6 months ago, and I was tense as could be the whole time the thing was in me.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's a freaky experience, man, if you're not used to that sort of thing. What about you, Reese? You a blood donor at all?
Nope.
No.
I try to keep all my fluids and body parts to myself.
That's not a bad approach to take, because sometimes, well, your body parts anyway sometimes can get you into a heap load of trouble. So that's not a bad.
Same with some fluids too.
True enough. Blood included. And what about you, Ape Man? Are you a blood donor?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I kind of figured, because when you said you wanted to donate your body to whatever scientific necessities it could use, right? So.
Well, I'm also on something that everyone should be on, which is DKMS, Delta Kilo Mike Sierra, who are a bone marrow donor register. And they send you a tiny swab You rub it on the inside of your cheek, send it back. Takes about 2 or 3 minutes. And if anyone ever matches you for for marrow, you just basically they do a specific type of blood donation where it's circulated back into you, and they filter something out of it. And for 90% of the people, that's enough to save a life. If you want to match someone. Because one of my customers, when he was 44, had got a blood cancer and needed a marrow donation.
Wow. And
I remember just going to see him, and he looked healthier than he had done for ages. And he just said, I go and see my customers every 6 weeks. And he said, I won't be here when you come next time because they haven't found a donor for me, so I'll be dead. And he was.
Oh, wow.
And it was awful. And he was just such a nice bloke. And he died for the lack of a marrow donor.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and if you go to DKMS, they'll sign you up.
I should do that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally a couple of minutes. I'm sure they're in Canada as well. They did a big campaign in the UK.
Canadian Blood Services they rebranded, and they now do all the blood donation is merely a part of it. They also do platelets, and they do organ donations, and they do the marrow thing now. So they've got this weird little googly looking sign to represent all 4 parts of it, right? So
well, DKMS isn't in Canada; it's in the US, but not in Canada. So
okay, I'm sure there's a Canadian counterpart. There must be. But one of the cool things that Canadian Blood Services just started doing, I guess they took a cue from Sweden, or I think it was either Sweden or Switzerland, where they give you a text message now that says, and this is what they sent me, message from Canadian Blood Services, your donation is on its way to someone in need. Because of you, someone can wake up healthy tomorrow.
Oh, and fabulous.
I know, that's unreal. And when I got that, I was like, "Oh, gee!" I had to choke back the manly tear, you know. Which I thought that was pretty cool. And I suggested that they start doing that when I first read the article on this. What they're doing there, I can't remember if it's Sweden or Switzerland or even Norway, somewhere they're doing it. And I said it was a great idea, and I guess they listened. Because it's weird, because since I started doing this group, not too many people know the full story of how this all got going. But my father was British Columbia's highest donor. He had the most donations out of anyone in BC. Not in Canada. There was some guy that was approaching 1,000 by the time my dad passed away.
Yeah.
But he was 536.
Was he a plasma or a platelet donor or something?
He did all of it. He did whole blood. He did plasma when they were doing plasma. They stopped for a while, but they're bringing it back. And then for the duration, he was platelets. And that's where his numbers build, because you can actually go in every couple of weeks and do platelets, because they put your blood back in. They just remove the platelets. And that's how his numbers climbed up so quickly. So him being the BC's highest donor, I thought, well, and him and I had always talked about going and donating together, but we just never met up and never could do it. So I thought, okay, it's about time I started doing something. So I started what they call here a Partners for Life group in his honor, to honor his commitment. And I got TV spots and stuff like that. And of course I did a video for YouTube on my other old channel that I no longer really use. And I managed to garner about 200 people joined my group in the first year. And when they told me that they thought it was a good idea, but they needed a pledge, like you have to give a pledge of how many donations you believe you're going to get over the year. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure we'll break my dad's numbers. And they kind of there's like 3 of them, 3 representatives. They're all looking at each other like, is he serious? And they told me that it had never happened in Canadian Blood Services history that a single guy starting a group would Haitians. So I said, well, what do you think I should put? And they said, well, how about we start with 50 donations? And I'm like, okay, you can put that down, but I'm telling you right now, with the people that I know, and we're getting the news in here, it's going to be bigger than that. And like, okay, but we'll be err on the side of caution, yada yada. We'll put 50 donations down. Well, we ended up with over 680 donations in the first year alone. And that broke my initial pledge by 1,240%. So we did another newscast when I went in for another donation, and they brought a cake out and everything. It was pretty funny. And I got a little plaque that they gave me, and it was pretty cool. So I'm pretty proud of what's happened to that.
Well, it's something to be proud of, because it costs nothing and it saves people's lives.
Right. The only thing it costs you really is time. That's it. Yeah. About an hour. An hour out of every 56 days. If you can't donate an hour of your time, maybe you should take a look at your schedule.
Do they pay you, or do you do it for free?
I do it for free. They don't pay here. It's all volunteer here.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Same in the UK, it's free.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same in the US as well.
Well, I think you can go in and get paid for your blood in some clinics. At least I remember a friend of mine in Seattle was saying that.
Probably in some clinics, but yeah, most of the time it's free donations to like Red Cross or whatever.
Right. It used to be Red Cross here as well. And I believe if I had started, let's say, this partners group while it was still the Red Cross, that would actually mean that I could have people in the U.S. join my team as well. But since we had a blood taint scare here, and many people were upset about it, so they sort of had to revamp everything, and they decided us part of it, and they started what they now call the Canadian Blood Services. So, because there was a tainted blood scare with HIV and stuff, so it was pretty scary. It was back in the early 90s that happened.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I think we
about
had
98. I think
most recent one was probably early 2000s or whatever, where we had a big scare like that through the Red Cross and donations over here.
It can happen, right? They don't screen candidates enough, and somebody slips through, and there's some tainted blood that gets in. It can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also in the early days of HIV, people didn't know it was going to happen. They didn't, people obviously weren't aware of it, and it was my mother was in the nursing world, and she said these poor haemophiliacs who for years and years and years had been dying got factor VIII, which is a clotting agent, and it was an absolute lifesaver, and then very suddenly they started dying of HIV, and she said it was just such a tragedy, such an awful tragedy. But no one knew it was coming.
Oh, this is funny. Duke Bonanza was saying, I guess he was responding to the whole Uri's talking about keeping your fluids to yourself. Duke was like, I spread my fluids around vigorously. Which is, Duke would say something like that. Oh, he's a funny guy.
Guys, I'm going to have to call it a day, because it's coming up for 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you're climbing up there.
And I have a day of
Thanks
work.
again, brother.
No, you're welcome. It was a real pleasure. It was genuinely enjoyable. As I say, it's the first time I've gone through the whole thing in any kind of a structured way, and it was so I was learning a little bit as I said it.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time, and I always try to make the people that I talk to feel as comfortable as I possibly can. Ham it up a little bit, be a bit of a goofball, maybe. Humor always tends to put people at ease, I find. Yeah. And I'm terrible, and I tell some of the worst dad jokes, and I'm not even a dad, right? So. I learned from a good one.
I would love to tell it you, but I heard the funniest dad joke I've ever heard in my life the other day, and promptly forgot it.
Oh, that's an age thing. At least that's what I tell people.
Oh, what the hell was it? It was superb. Oh, well, I'll never know.
Well, see if you can remember, and then the next time you jump in one of the parties, we'll give you the floor and you can tell the joke. But I'm gonna have some popcorn standing by in case it's really bad. I'm gonna start throwing it at the.
Oh, it was appalling. Really, really, really terrible. And I've just done a search for Atheist Ape Man dad joke on Twitter, and I can't find it. And I definitely retweeted it, but no, okay, who can tell?
You'll find it.
Anyway, look, take care, guys. Thanks ever so much for your time and for listening. And
it was great. It was great. I had a good
I'll
time.
speak to you soon.
Yep, great to meet you.
All right.
And you, take care. See you soon.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Not just screwing with us here in the chat.
Oh, is he? Oh, Nacha. What are you doing? I'm sad YouTube is broken and says I lost over 500 subs. What? That can't be right.
I don't believe him.
I think he's trolling. I mean, I've heard of people losing subs. And then, when I had my other channel, there was a scare about that some years ago. And I actually spoke to some of my people that I knew were subscribed to me that didn't seem to be. And they're like, no, I didn't unsub. So,
oh, shoot, happened. There's something that
really
300 subs now. He's well over 800 this morning.
Oh my goodness! I wonder what happened.
Well, good luck trying to make that 1,000 by Christmas goal.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Brent was like, YouTube's not broken. Everyone just saw you were you on Twitter being lazy at work. Oh boy.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen, Duke, a couple of times. It took a while for it to hit me. I don't know if that's just because I was a pretty regular watcher to pretty much anything that I had subbed to, so that it wasn't unsubbing me from people. But yeah, I found it happen a couple of different times with me as well.
That's really shitty. Nachi, you should jump in here for a little bit if you can. I don't know if you can. Tell us a little bit.
On mine, it says that Nacha still has 792 subs.
Did you click?
Really?
Did you click through his channel? It says the same thing there, but when you click through to his channel, it drops to 311.
311. Holy cow! Wow.
Yeah. So there must be a glitch in what's being displayed. And
that's probably
lost them all.
That's crazy.
Yeah. If you look at it like this, Nacha, where you see, right up here, it still says 711 or no, 790, 711. Maybe I'm craving a Slurpee. It says 792. And let's see what happens when I go on there. Yep, 311. That's weird.
It's almost as bad as Leon Lush losing, what was it, 80,000 likes or whatever on his video, going from 80,000 likes to 0 a few weeks back.
What, really?
Yeah, there was some.
Happened?
Yeah, have you heard of Leon Lush before?
Yes.
Yeah, he did a whole thing of it on Twitter. I saw it going back and forth on Twitter. He was watching it, filming it hour by hour as the thing was going down.
That's really bizarre. Well, I just checked my channel to see if there's a glitch there too. I'm still just over the 200, like I have been for a few days now. So I don't have many to lose. So maybe they just ignored me.
Yeah, who knows?
I'd like to hit 1,000 by Christmas. That's not going to happen.
It'd be nice. You deserve it.
Well, thanks. That means a lot, actually. But Duke's in. There he is.
Oh, not Duke.
Hi, Reese. I love you too, sweetie.
Hey, buddy.
I'm going to give you some sugar someday, I promise. It's going to be okay.
I bet. Spread some of your vigorous juice everywhere.
Yeah, man. Every chance I get.
Just like a fucking fire hose. Here! Everybody gets some.
Yeah, like you with wrenches, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, nobody's more spreading the wrenches around than Mole.
It looks like
in that department.
I'm gonna have to make red a mod too, so everyone in my chat can be blue.
Yeah, that's Mole. That's Mole's streams. I think he gave the first 200 subs as that.
Just don't shut people down, or you'll get yelled at.
I won't do that. How was your time? How was your time with your daughter, dude?
Oh, it's good. We're working on a science project, but I'm literally just sitting here cutting out pieces of paper. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, I can chat for a minute while I'm cutting out pieces of paper because she's playing on her tablet. So,
there you go.
But
so
I wanted
doing
to
all the work. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. That's the princess gets whatever the princess wants.
Yeah, I have a little sister that I still have to. That I still, for the longest time it was, hey, you come over here and draw this for me for my homework, or do this or do that for her. Help her out. She's getting better doing it by herself.
I'll do it. Bring it over here to me.
So, Red, do you do your own animations?
Yeah, I'm using the character animator, so that comes with Adobe's suites.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had the animations done a couple months ago, and then my laptop went to shit.
Right.
So I lost most of it. So I built a new computer, something that'll run better than my laptop with this stuff, and it's just been the last month or so trying to get everything remade that I had made.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I took after the guys over at Gulf City Cartoons, White Supremacy.
Right.
That they do. So they use the character animator for their live shows and all that other stuff, and so I think that's something that helps a little better than doing what the old school YouTube animators had to do. The Flash animations and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Dark Matter does. With the algorithm as it is, can't be spending as a new channel a month to put a video out.
No. But you know what? I would say one of the things I've seen people do, is I think a good idea is one, you can live stream things in between to get people to have content that people can check in and be involved with. You know what I mean? Have discussions like the way Neil does, and then just put content out in between. That's kind of what Godless Iowa does. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. That's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my plan too. But I'm doing it all in the animation and stuff. So I've been, like I was telling Neil earlier, and learning how to use all the stuff for hopefully by our interview, I'll have the puppet working and it'll all work well. And we'll do it with the animation live.
Cool. It's going to be neat. What style of animation are you using again?
It's just the character animator thing. So it's it cycles through different images. You've seen Gulf City cartoons, right? Ghastly and Ape.
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen White Supremacy? I thought you did.
Maybe I did.
Ghastly and
I just don't remember it.
Ghastly and AP.
Shoot me a link later, and I'll just double check because I don't. It doesn't sound familiar, but that doesn't mean I haven't seen it.
All hail Blue
I've spent so much time watching YouTube that I'm surprised I have any brain cells left. Some of the stuff I've watched on YouTube. I've spent a lot of time on it. So yeah, I don't remember everything. I don't remember everything by name, but I might have seen it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting up mine, starting to do videos. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Now that I got a machine that can do everything I want to do at once.
I've been spending a lot of time working on that piece that I'm going to be sending to you, Neil. And so I haven't put any time into the other thing, but I'll be starting my thing up here pretty soon. I've got two ideas. One came from Wonder Lady. Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
Who said I should start doing commercials for smaller YouTube channels. It's pretty funny. So I'm writing a script. I'll get their permission first, of course, but I'm writing a script to do one for Mrs. Snarky. She's going to be my first one if she's cool with it. And then, of course, I'm going to be reading the good old Bible. But like a jerk.
Oh, someone's mentioning in the chat, that everyone's been doing the thank you thing with the THANKYOU and all that. And then putting the first person that pops up there. It seems like I got tagged in almost every fucking one of those things, I guess, because I don't even know why. But I
didn't know that was a rule, so I just picked people I liked.
Oh!
When I did mine, I was like, well, this is going to make it difficult, but I'm just going to pick the top people that I'm thinking of right now that I've been dealing with a lot recently.
Hey, Dad, just cut off the picture. Just do this.
Oh, what she got questions for the old man that he can't answer?
She's got instructions for the old man. She's telling me how to do it.
Yeah.
You got to have instructions because it's important.
Of course.
And she says, actually, it is.
We tend not to read instructions.
Well, I'm terrible. I don't read instructions. I don't ask directions. As a man, I can find it and I can fix it.
Find this shit. I'm a man. Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny that way. It's like every time I build something from IKEA, there's like 3 or 4 pieces left over, and I'm like, shit. This fucking thing's going to fall apart. I know it.
No, it just means you're really good if you make it with less parts than what it required.
That's right. You're just a better engineer than the guys at IKEA.
That's right. I'm going to start looking at it that way as my $700 TV falls to the floor.
Yeah, you always end up with a handful of extra screws. You're done all right.
Well, sometimes they send you extra screws on purpose.
It doesn't. They do.
Well, yeah, they do, but there's times you end up with like way more than what's reasonable for the little extra ones they send you through.
Speaking of building shit, I really got to put together my Lego Millennium Falcon again.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had to take it apart when I moved, right? And I've got that one, and I've got the Boba Fett slave ship as well.
Oh, Slave One?
The original ones, the very first came, yeah, Slave One. The ones that first came out back in, like, I think it was 98, maybe, I want to say.
I always played with all my stuff, so I never had any cool stuff left over from when I was a kid. But I used to, when I lived in Alaska, by the time I moved to Alaska, I'd had a pretty righteous comic book collection going on. I actually had the first appearance of Punisher. I think it was Amazing Spider-Man 289. And it was. I had, I believe, the first appearance of Wolverine, which I think was in the Incredible Hulk.
Hulk.
Yeah, it was a Hulk thing. I had that. I had a bunch of old school, like I had like the original prints of Death in the Family from Batman. I had all this stuff, and then in the trip back down from Alaska, they got ruined. Every one of them. They were gone forever. Man.
That Wolverine one and Punisher one are worth quite a bit of cash.
They are worth a lot of money now. Yeah. And then I had some that were stolen from me because. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they're my cousin has them now. I gave all my comics to my cousin.
Do you have was it the giant annual one where the new X-Men?
No. You mean where they go to whatever island it was? No. I'm talking the original X-Men.
Oh yeah.
In the 60s.
Yeah, I got you on that. I was just wondering if you had the other one as well, like where the original X-Men get captured by Magneto and the new X-Men, right, like including Colossus and Wolverine, all of them have to go and save them.
Thunderbird, also Sunfire, I think, was in that too, the Japanese guy. And, yeah, I did not have the giant size, but I had pretty much everyone from that issue on. There's chunks of that where I was missing just because. I wasn't here. I was living in Israel at part of the time, so it happens.
Shit happens. Well, that was the thing about like there was a great comic book store. Well, it was really an antique store, but there's a great antique store in Alaska, in Eagle River, Alaska, where I lived, and they had the best comic book collection I have ever seen. I mean, I've been to comic book stores all over the place, and I've never seen anything like that. He was just a cool old dude, man. He let a 8-9-year-old kid walk around in his store and handle his comic books and not raise hell. He was a cool guy. And then
as long as you treat them with some element of respect, I think most of those guys are pretty cool with it.
Cool.
Yeah, they really don't want to chase you out, especially nowadays.
You'd be surprised. Well, it depends on how you look at it. Well, yeah, not really in comic book stores. Like, I remember the first music store I ever walked into. I think I was 13, and my mom had pretty much said, go over to the music store. I'll spend up to $300-ish and pick a guitar out, you know. So I was going to go pick out something used, and I walked in, and the guy was such a dick that I didn't get one. Like I just walked in and was like, I'm looking for a guitar, and he goes, money talks, and you little shit. And I was like, not to you, it doesn't. And I turned around and walked out.
Nice one.
Yeah,
those were my exact words.
They're pretty stringent about the that stuff over at the music stores.
Oh yeah.
I remember going to pick up my first guitar and stuff, and what was I? It must have been 12 or 13. And yeah, they were all over you as
materials over here.
I didn't know you played, Red.
Not very well.
So like me, kind of a hack at it.
Oh, you're probably a lot better than I am. You're still playing in a band.
Well, I don't play the guitar. I'm just the singer. I'm the guy that hangs out with the musicians.
Yeah, that's well, part of it was I grew up in a pretty small town, and it was tough finding people that wanted to play a certain kind of music. So right back in my time, it would have been, a lot of people that were getting into bands in our school were really heavy into nu metal and stuff.
Smoke off you.
Outside of Linkin Park, nu metal's never been my genre, and trying to find and if it weren't doing that, it was going to be something like country or something there, which is also not my genre at all. So couldn't find anybody to play with, so I never put a whole lot of time into practicing it like I should have when I got it, but so I never got really good at it, and I never really had any reason to get really good at it.
Yeah, maybe just for you. Sorry, Duke, I muted you because there's a lot of talking in the background. You can unmute yourself when you want.
I thought he was doing that ASMR video.
He's whispering. There was an interesting question asked by Klaus Schumacher. He asked if God gave birth to himself, who was looking after heaven?
Metatron.
At the time. Metatron?
Yep.
Metatron. Oh, yeah, you answered him. I didn't even notice that till when you said that, I just looked again. That's funny. Metatron.
But no, Red, I ran into an interesting, a similar problem, but mine was because I started off a bass player, and I was a big Geddy Lee fan, a big Les Claypool and Flea fan, so and I practiced incessantly, so I got pretty good, and I would want to play my style of bass, and everybody would want to just put a pick in my hand and be like, "Look, you don't need to use anything but the top two strings, the lowest two strings."
Right.
It's fuck you guys, man. So I quit trying to play with anybody and just started doing my own thing. I ended up getting into the guitar because the acoustic guitar is easier to practice, just to use for finger dexterity and kind of keep your hands busy and keep at it. It's easier to practice that than plugging your whole rig up and playing. And I just discovered a absolute love for the guitar, so stuck with it.
Yeah, I picked it up a couple of years ago and been playing better than I've ever had before. So I got I picked part of the fun was picking up that Rocksmith video game.
Oh yeah.
So I'm learning to play the songs in there and stuff going along with that. So that's
actually a really good game, actually.
Oh yeah, I love it. Some of the stuff I can't do. I've messed up my hands enough that I don't have the range. It makes some of the chord shapes with perfect fingers, but
there's ways around that, dude. Every chord you can play on the guitar can be played in 15 different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, man, a lot of guys, when you stick with what they call the zombie chords, man, just the good old open chords all the time, it gets boring. You know what I mean? It's I've heard this freaking chord progression before. You can liven it up by just playing it different ways. So
yeah, my old guitar player Will was all about those fucking bizarre, unique chords for a lot of our songs, stuff that we're used to seeing his fingers looking going the way they shouldn't be able to go.
Yeah,
diminished seventh and whatever, right? So
who was the guitar player for the Sex Pistols? Never remember his name.
No, Matlock was the bassist.
No, that was Sid Vicious, wasn't it? Was the
Sid Vicious was he took over.
No, he took over for Matlock. Matlock was the original bassist.
Oh, right, that's right.
Steve Jones.
Steve Jones.
That's it.
Steve Jones would complain about Matlock because when they didn't start off as a punk band. Like Matlock wanted to be like a Beatles kind of guy.
Yeah, they were a pub band.
And so he would write all this stuff with these weird chords like that. And Steve Jones was like, I told you, quit writing all these fucking Beatles chords. You get major fucking chords with me. That's all I play. And so the Sex Pistols was born.
Yeah.
And part of them was them trying to ape Richard Hell, with Malcolm McLaren.
Yeah. Well, where'd Reese go?
I don't know. He just dropped out.
He just disappears like that. It's like I can't even think of the analogy that I usually use. It's been a long day. At least he doesn't
fall asleep.
Hey.
I fall asleep, dude. I'm talking about me. It's happened to me twice now.
Oh. I was in a stream with Don when I was at his place, and I was just getting too drunk, and I just started nodding off. And for the last 20 minutes of the stream, all you were looking at was the top of my fucking head. So that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, and I made the joke that you guys never stopped streaming that weekend.
That's right. Oh, you saw that? Some of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Oh, there he is.
There's been twice where I've just got off like a 12-hour overnight shift, and I just wanted to talk to people before I went to bed. And like one time, I was talking with Red was on with me, and Russ was on, and I was listening to Russ talk, and he was kind of in the middle of the thing, and so I just said screw it, and I think hopefully I muted, and I just went to sleep to the sweet sounds of Russ's voice.
My phone freaked out. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries, man. You were going to say something too, Red, before Dukes so politely cut you off.
Oh, I don't know what I was going to say.
That's usually how I sound after smoking a doobie. What were we talking about then?
Well, I think I was just going to jump in that it was with me, was it last week after our debate or the week before? Man, it's been 2 weeks already since that thing.
Oh God, let's don't talk about that ever again. Joshua freaking Bristol. Joshua's a freaking anti-poon.
Well, now they're finally ironing out. It's going to be Ocean and GC arguing polytheism against Master Apologist and Andrew.
Oh no, that Stridle guy or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
Stratalities.
Oh my God, those two, I swear.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's that other guy that he's got all capital letters and like the American flag in his picture, the RHD something or other. I can't remember who. I was actually trying to get him to understand a little bit more about evolution, and he was just having none of that. So I tagged Jackson Wheat, and he comes in there, and somehow Jackson managed to convince the guy to come on his channel and discuss this. So it's actually kind of amusing. I don't think he's forgetting.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's just another schnook that's way too far gone in his indoctrination.
Oh yeah.
Like I tried helping him out, but it's just he'd have none of it. It's all a lie.
Yeah, there's some of them on Twitter that are just not worth talking to.
Oh yeah.
Satan put the dinosaur bones there, man. Satan put the dinosaur bones there.
I remember I got in one of those long threads talking about evolution with it, and I laughed. I quit talking about it, and then all of a sudden my notifications for the next week were just full, and all of a sudden they're off on conspiracies about Obama and all this other stuff. Where the hell are we going? How'd you get from talking about evolution to that?
So it goes from evolution to Michelle Obama has a dick.
I don't think it wasn't quite that, but yeah, it was just crazy. All these conspiracy theories and stuff is like, I don't know how people's minds work that way. that get all that conspiracy theory nonsense.
Oh, I know. And the worst, and my roommate she laughs at me every time I come out of my room because I'm always cursing and yelling about something I just saw on YouTube with the flat earthers. And I'm just like, how could these people are sharing my air? Like, fuck, I don't want to end up breathing in some of their stupid, it's just like, it's unbelievable.
Did you see,
now she taunts me.
Did you see Jeranism prove the earth was round?
Yes, when he did the light test.
Yes.
Oh man, I've been posting that everywhere.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he did the light test that he was hoping was going to prove the earth was flat. Now there's problems with the test, but based on what he said, if it goes from 17 feet to 23 feet to see the light, it goes up. So he says, well, we raise the lights up, and he sees it through the camera. For how far away it was. And it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, it's like you didn't know what to say. Well, you just disproved yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an idiot. Some other guy was talking about, he was on a bridge, I guess, that was like a 20-mile long bridge. And they have some of those, right?
Yeah.
And he says, and there's no curvature on. I'm like, dude, you wouldn't notice it on that kind of a bridge, first of all. But talk to the people that built the bridge if they had to account for the curvature of the earth, because any bridge that's longer than like 1.75 miles, they have to.
Oh, yeah. So, that's the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that goes forever. That one's curved. I mean,
the pylons, yeah.
Yeah, they have to, because they're going to be like that, right? So
yeah,
they just don't get it.
One of the best ones I ever saw was this guy was like, well, so tell me this. If the earth is round, then why is it when a comet goes overhead, you don't see it crest on the horizon and then go over and, why does it just fly straight overhead?
Oh, my God.
It doesn't enter the atmosphere.
Yeah,
that's it.
And it's not very big.
Oh, my God.
And it's not very close.
I say we should fake a flat earth convention. Let's get them all into one room and let's release some sort of toxic gas in there. Just get rid of all of them.
We should have done it the one that Logan Paul showed up to. We could have killed two with one stone.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, YouTube, I'm not advocating killing people. This is all in good fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, either way, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it boggles my mind that people in the 21st fucking century think the earth is flat. I'm pretty sure
vaccines are bad.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure lots of them are trolls.
I'm brainwashed.
Well, I mean, the main heads are doing it for the money. The and the Jeranisms. I mean, Jeranism, they make I think Jeranism makes something like $2,000 a month or something on Patreon, and I think Dubé makes like $5,000.
Wow.
Let me pull this up. I looked at it a while ago.
The corner of that question.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
You're turning this into like Reese was saying earlier. You're turning this into an ASMR video, buddy.
At least it's not as weird as that Cardi B one that Poison the Well covered. I mean, that was straight up porn thing for an interview. The way she was holding the mic and doing all the other stuff with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see Dubai on Patreon anymore. I don't know if he got taken down or what, but
maybe.
He does it elsewhere, but yeah, Jared was making 1,600, so he's dropped a little bit probably after that video. He looked like an idiot.
Looks good on him. For all the years I've seen him out there pushing that nonsense.
Yeah, it's all for the money. He doesn't care if it's true or not. It's a way to scam people. You tell people that want to believe in conspiracy theories this thing. It's the same way with all that woo medicine and stuff, the chili juice or whatever, and they make the money out of selling this nonsense. It's like because people want it.
Yeah. Unfucking believable. I don't know. My head is all over the place on this because it's like if I was like the guy that was in charge of I think YouTube should have some sort of a vetting process where all right, so what kind of content do you want to make? How much do you think you'll be doing? You know, that kind of thing. And then, I'm sorry, you're pushing what? Flat Earth? Okay, you're not allowed to have a channel.
Yeah.
Well, however, who knows? There might be people at YouTube that believe it, so you never know.
Well, they'd never be able to vet that stuff until after they start uploading content. There's just way too much stuff, and it's way too easy to hop on and do it. So, and they'll never pay for it. Yeah, they're losing enough money on YouTube. They're not going to go and spend any more money there. And at least those flat Earth conspiracies, at least something just silly that you can sit and laugh at, whereas you get the other things that they're dealing with, with especially with the alt-right stuff, super chats and how that stuff's working, and then trying to get that so that the advertisers don't run away.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of controversial shit on here too as well. But super chats are great. I think you have to have a certain amount of people that subscribe to you before you can even engage in doing that, don't you?
Well, you got to be monetized first. You got to have the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours before you're monetized. But most people before that will throw up Streamlabs, which is free. It's just an extra link you have them click on and go.
That's a good idea. I should try that out. I am monetized on my other channel. I just never used the damn thing. Because it was basically geared towards a gaming audience. Because when I was uploading, now don't laugh now, Yu-Gi-Oh videos.
No, laugh about that. That was fine.
Yeah, well, obviously.
There's Pokemon trading card channels that do that stuff. All the different games. There's audiences for it. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh back in middle school and high school. I had a whole. I think I still have a couple cases of the real early Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Some of them might be worth some cash, dude. Like I know some of the old first editions are worth quite a bit. I have tons of fucking cards, like literally heap loads of them over there, because I still go out to the locals and stuff and play once in a while. But I don't really make the videos anymore. I used to do pack openings or deck profiles or what I would call interviewals, like where I interview and duel somebody at the same time. Usually more well known as, we were calling them Yuki tubers. Yeah. I would interview other ones like Dragon Duelist Girl or Underworld or one of those guys, right? And I'd interview them while we were dueling. And I usually won them because the duel or the interview part usually distracts them. And I was always playing some shit deck anyways, right? But I ended up building Lightsworns. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those. And I just stuck with that deck for the most part. And I got about 5 or 6 other decks that are geared for the newer meta. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, like vampires and zombies and shit like that. Or the Blue Eyes deck. I have a great Blue Eyes deck.
Yeah, we used to in middle school. You'd ride the bus and you'd be, however, 20 minutes early or whatever, and you'd sit out in a big. We had a big commons rooms that we used as lunch, as the lunchroom in there. But that was the common rooms for other stuff. So they'd set it up for lunch, and then during the days, the tables would just be sitting out there to kind of sit there. So we would sit and play Yu-Gi-Oh before school started. You get off the bus and you find somebody to play it. So we play that. Magic wasn't quite as big by us. I don't know why, but
I was into that years and years back in the 90s.
Yeah, I had a few decks in the late 90s. I didn't really understand it, at 10 or 11, I didn't really understand how to play it. So
tapping the mana and
Yeah, so I was used to like the Pokemon trading card game I liked. And then
that's fun.
When Yu-Gi-Oh came out, Yu-Gi-Oh was what everybody played.
Yeah, it's simple, except for they started bringing out the monsters with all the effects and stuff. That's when it started to, and now they've so many different types of monsters or creatures or whatever you call them. Like you had your original what we call them vanilla now, the yellow card ones, those monsters, and then they had the effect monsters that came out, and fusion monsters that came out, and then ritual monsters, and then synchro monsters, and then of course Xyz monsters, and then pendulum monsters came out, and now they have link monsters, which I think they brought them out because when they released pendulum monsters, you could instantly spam the field with like fucking 5 guys right away. Boom, you got 5 guys out there, and they're all shit kickers. And then they said, "Oh, game's got a little OP now, so we'll introduce link monsters," where they added a new monster zone. Now they have 2 in front of the 5, and you have to summon a guy there before you can bring any other extra deck monsters out onto the field. And you can only, you have to put them where the arrows on the links point to, right? So, and then you can spam them. But once, if let's say one of your synchro guys you bring out and he gets killed, you can bring him back anywhere from the graveyard if you have a way to revive him from there. So,
yeah, sounds a heck of a lot more convoluted, confusing than it was when I played.
Yeah, it's up there, man. It's crazy now. But I like the mechanic. It took me a while to get used to it, but I do like it. I think it does help. But they figured out ways around it so that it didn't actually slow the game up. They just found loops and shit you could do, and then all of a sudden, blah, you got a whole field full of monsters again. So it didn't really end up slowing the game down. It just sort of sped it up in a different way. It just took more mechanics to make it happen. That's all.
Yeah.
But you could do it in one turn. You could do it. That's what they ended up finding out, is a way to manipulate that new mechanic. Still fun though.
I was more into D&D myself.
Yeah, I played D&D too, but that was in the 80s, man, way back in the day.
I played it a couple of times. Part of it again is just getting the books and stuff before, as easy to find everything online.
I love when my conversations on here start to turn into the geek room, where I'll start talking about gaming and shit like that. They'd be proud. They'd be proud. I interviewed them actually way back, a couple months back.
I like old Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie and Bran.
I chose just the right time to. I chose just the right time to mute. I know nothing about this stuff.
Oh, it's okay, Duke. If we ever end up hanging out, I'll teach you how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. It's not that hard.
Fantastic.
Hey,
we'll drink whiskey and play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, fuck yeah. You'll have to be drunk. You'll understand it better.
That's funny.
I don't have much here in the way of alcohol today. I still have my unopened bottle of 15-year-old Glenfiddich. That's about it.
Anyway, I just thought.
Paige.
So I've got my beer.
You're making me jealous, Reese. Usually I have beer here.
It's Utah beer. Don't be jealous.
Okay, is that bad, or is it like 2.5% or something?
3.2.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's like a Radler.
That won't help me.
Kind of got hooked on those things actually for a while over the summer. Those,
the problem with
not the Bud Light ones, but the Rickards Radlers, the grapefruit ones and the orange ones. Those are pretty tasty. But they taste too good, and you end up drinking too many, and by that time you're doing fucking lip stands out in the back lawn. This is what I'll sleep here. Come and get me when you got bacon going. That's all. All I fucking need is.
I've had a few nights like that. You should have seen me the night I ended up drinking with the Irish guys in Myrtle Beach.
Mistake number 1.
That was brutal. I didn't really have a choice. As weird as that sounds, like.
Did they tie you to the chair? Well, maybe. I guess you are into that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, with their words.
With their words.
Like, you don't understand, man. I went to, like, all right. So I'm a terrible insomniac, and it was like a Friday night. And it was like 3 a.m. I didn't have any beer in the house or anything like that. But there was a 24-hour bar across the street. Literally, I could just walk across the street to it. So I just walked over there, and there was this bunch of Irish nationals in there. And they were the only other guys in the bar. and they were like, telling me to come over and drink with them. I kind of try to imitate them, but I've never been able to pull an Irish brogue off. But like, you don't really have a choice because they'll clown the fuck out of you till you do it, man. It's the same way with drinking with them. Like, you feel like you have to keep up, or your manhood's at stake or something.
I don't think
it's
so.
Bad. And so, dude, I was a block and a half from my house. It took me 3.5 hours to get home.
Fucking GPS is broken.
I was asleep in my fucking living room floor. I woke up in my living room floor. I was like, I don't know what happened, and I hope it never comes back to bite me. And it never did.
I've had that. One of the worst things to do if you're at a party is fall asleep at a party, because you're going to end up with dicks and shit drawn all over your face and body. And we did something really nasty to a friend of mine one time. It was a New Year's party, and him and another guy they were fucking hammered. And they both went into the same room and fell asleep. And the guy had a big king-size bed. And they both fell asleep in there. So me and my friend Roddy go in there afterwards, and we grabbed this tub of Vaseline, and we stuck it on the nightstand there. Now, remember, this is in the 80s, and it was still kind of, oh, you fag and all that kind of thing, right? But we put John's fingers in there and scooped out some, and we had it smeared on his butt and the other guy's butt, and of course we're using his hand to do it. But anyways, so they wake up and all we heard was John just shrieking. He was screaming when they finally woke up, and he comes out of the room and he's got his underwear around his ankles and he's yelling and screaming, "What the fuck happened?" And he's running around and we're all just like pointing and laughing at him. And the other guy wakes up and he comes out of the room and he's all like, "Any coffee?" kind of thing, right? He didn't even faze him. But John was just freaking right out. It was the funniest thing.
That is really funny.
We told him about it all, and we've never been able to live it down since then. So yeah, it was pretty funny little prank we pulled.
We always had the shoes off rule. So if their shoes are off, they're in to go tonight. But if you fall asleep with your shoes on, you're free game to fuck with.
That's a good rule, man. At least everybody knows in advance. You know what I mean? Like, dude, if you don't want to get fucked with, take your fucking shoes off.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah. So I lucked out because I got real blasted one night. It's a couple years out of high school. Big kind of reunion before I went back off to college again for the fall semester, and I got trashed so much so that when I get really drunk, I'm open to suggestion. So when the crowd, I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I must have been like stumbling and falling around out in the backyard in the grass. So my shirt was my longer sleeve shirt over the top. My t-shirt was a little wet, so I went and took that off, and the crowd starts chanting to streak. And by that point, my inhibitions are gone. I tried. I did it. I dropped everything. Didn't take one step because I didn't get my feet out of my pants and face first into the grass right there. And so they basically pinned me down and waited till I passed out and decided not to fuck with me because I had kicked my shoes off or whatever when I was going to go streaking. So
that's funny. The night of my bachelor party for my second marriage, I don't think I've ever drank more than that in my life. We started off with like a 12-pack of Heineken. Then we went to Hooters and we had beers there. And then I had dollar beers all night long, which are not the full-size beers. They're like little 6-ounce beers, but I had 48 of them. Oh. and I don't know why, because I wasn't looking at anybody or talking to anybody or messing with anybody. But like I almost got in 4 fights that night. But the guys didn't talk to me. Their girlfriends came up.
That's why you got into 4 fights.
Like four different. Well, no, I didn't get into the fights. Like 4 different times in 4 different places. Some girl walked up to me and said, "My boyfriend's getting ready to come over here and stomp your ass. You better leave." And like every time, I just said, "Well, tell your boyfriend to grow a pair of balls and come over here and tell me that himself." And I just went back to what I was doing, like. But it was the weirdest thing. Like that kind of thing never happened to me. Man. It was just one of those things. It's like that kind of thing never. Like I don't bother people. I don't even talk to people. You know what I mean? I can mind my business. So nobody ever bothers me. But for some reason, that night, over and over again, like people kept walking up, and I just kept saying, like, there was one guy that walked up to me. This little black guy walked up to me, and he was just like, "You quit looking at my chick." I was like, "I wasn't looking at your chick." I was like,
"Which one? Which one?"
And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he turned around and walked off. And I was like, "What the hell?" Like everybody wanted to talk. Everybody wanted to buy. I don't know if maybe they just wanted to test the water. Like, maybe. I wonder if this guy's a bitch. Oh, I guess he's not.
That's liquid courage, man. Liquid courage.
But yeah, it was a fun night. But I passed out in my bed like in an X. Arms and legs spread out in an X. And my ex-wife said she came in. She said, "Can I get on the bed?" I just looked at her and said, "No."
Your own fucking bed. The couch looks pretty cozy right now, doesn't it?
That was a fun night.
Well, yeah, you got the bed to yourself.
Yeah, I know, right? Goodness.
Any of you guys follow The Walking Dead?
Not anymore.
I used to till I killed Glenn.
Oh man, it's this season. This right now they've actually gotten a lot better again. So I'm pretty impressed with it.
Really? Because I fell off after they killed Glenn. That's the last season I really watched. It wasn't because of that, because I knew that was coming because I read the comic books.
Graphic novels.
Yeah, they were originally comic books.
Yeah, they're comic books.
Yeah,
they started off as like single series, like one comic book at a time, and then they put them in an omnibus afterwards. But yeah, I read the graphic novel. You're right about that. But yeah, semantics. I don't know. I don't know. It kind of got old to me.
Well, they diverged from the comic many places.
They did because if they went by the comic book, by this time Rick would have one hand. All kinds of different crazy stuff. They changed the character a lot because, like, the governor was not a hard ass in the comic books, man. Not like a toe-to-toe hard ass. The governor of the show was a true to like life hard case, and in the comic books he really wasn't. I don't know, but
plus there was no Daryl in the comics.
No, there wasn't. He was added in. Good thing too, because I love him.
Yeah, he was actually a good character. I was impressed. He's still going. He's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the guy that plays him a lot. What's his name? He was in Boondock Saints.
That's Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus. Yeah, the only thing I've watched, like, kind of religiously, I watched Preacher and waiting for the next season of that to drop, because that's a great show from a great comic book. I watched The Good Place, which I think is the best television show I've ever seen in my life. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
You should watch it. I'm pretty sure The Good Place is the single best show I've ever seen. At least comedy-wise.
A lot of stuff I watch. I watch too much stuff. I think one of my favorite new shows that they just started this year is another entry to the DC comic universe with Titans. I like how they're doing that show. It's really dark, and they have no problem swearing in it and everything. I mean, it's more.
Is it a Netflix show?
I guess you could say.
No.
DC Direct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right on their website. But I just go to rarbg.com and download it and watch it there. So.
That's pretty cool.
There's a lot of controversy with that leading up to it.
With the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing some shtick about it. It almost was a no-go. But I guess they're having problems trying to fill the roles or something. Or people felt they weren't getting enough for it or something. Oh, wait, they had directorial problems, I think, at first.
Oh, I was talking more about the fans and stuff. So when they were leaking stuff from on set and everything, just not liking the look of the show.
Oh, it's great. I think it's great.
Is it better than Daredevil?
I was a hardcore Teen Titans when I read I even have the crossover with the X-Men too. I had like 5 copies of that.
Is it better than the Daredevil show?
Daredevil's really good. So it's I would put it at least on par with Daredevil for me, anyways, because they introduce some great characters in Titans, like the Doom Patrol. Because that's going to be a show in and of itself. I think in the springtime they're going to launch that in 2019. So Doom Patrol's getting their own show. Of course, they had to introduce him because that's where Beast Boy comes from. The one issue that I have is Beast Boy seems to only be able to turn into a tiger so far. So maybe they'll see him developing more of his animal forms. But right now, he's only ever turned into a tiger.
You wonder if that's the cost saving on some of the special effects.
I imagine. But I can't see it being that big of a deal if they turn him into a gorilla or an eagle. I mean, it can't be that much more. They just may not do it in every episode. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do they do it all CGI, or do they try to do practical effects once he's in those forms?
It looks like it's all CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's well done. I'll give them that. For TV, it's very well done. So, I mean, you look at like Legends of Tomorrow, and some of the CGI, and that's pretty cheesy. So, but the show itself just oozes cheesy. But I'm really glad they threw Constantine into the mix, because he's now a cast member on that. Because
he had his own show for a second, just for a split second. He had his own show, and it looked like it was going to be pretty good.
And it was, and I'm surprised it didn't go anywhere. And there's talk of him getting his own show again, because the reason he joined Legends, the reason they threw him in there is because the episodes that he was involved with were some of the best rated shows or best rated episodes of that show. So there's now talk of them trying to rehash another Constantine show, which would be cool.
That would be cool. The thing is, man, like I couldn't get into any of the DC stuff, like the Green Arrow and the Flash and those shows. They just felt like too much like kids WB stuff for me. I don't know. I just didn't care for them. Like I love the Marvel stuff. I love the Marvel shows on Netflix. And I think, well, not all of them. Obviously, Iron Fist sucks, but Iron Fist sucked in the comic books too, so it's not a surprise.
I don't know. I like the series he was with Power Man with the Heroes for Hire. I thought that was a pretty good series.
I never did care for it, man.
Really? Huh. See, I like Power Man.
I like Power Man. I thought he was pretty cool. I just never cared for Iron Fist. I always thought that was cheesy Power.
The Jessica Jones was tough. Pretty good.
Oh, it was great. That they had the Doctor playing the bad guy.
Yeah, Mr. Purple or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he did really good too. I like that. The first season was fantastic. But apparently Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist are no longer being made. That's it. They only got the 2 seasons each. And I'll give Iron Fist props. The second season was better than the first one.
Was it?
Yeah.
I watched part of the first one and was just like, nah, fuck this, and turned it off. I loved Jessica Jones. I never went through the Power Man Luke Cage one. I need to watch it. I love the Defenders. I thought that was great.
Defenders was good.
I thought that was really good. I love the Punisher. That was really good.
Yeah, his show's coming out soon too, I think.
They already did season 1 of Punisher.
Oh, I mean, sorry, let me rephrase. Season 2, they're talking about coming out in the spring, I think.
I'm curious to see where Daredevil goes after this last season, because it was freakishly good. It wasn't as good as like the first or second season, but it was still really good.
I like it. I found them all to be fairly evenly on par for me, anyway.
There were so many good references in the first one, though. You know what I mean? Like in the first one, they've got that hallway fight scene that's like a homage to Old Boy. You know what I mean? It's like they threw a lot of cool stuff in there. I really dug it.
What do you think of Vince?
D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio. I thought it was perfect.
Thank you for Kingpin. Yeah, I like the way he's portraying the character, but I have yet to be disappointed of something that D'Onofrio puts his fingers into.
Yeah, he's always great. I mean, he was awesome as the Edgar suit in Men in Black. He was awesome.
Yeah.
If you ever saw that movie, The Cell.
Yep.
Where he plays the serial killer, and he's freaking terrifying. He was terrifying in that damn movie, dude.
I know.
And you can't cast the Kingpin like he was portrayed in the comic books. There's nobody on this planet that is 6'9", weighs 492 pounds, and can somersault all the way across the room like you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean,
they don't exist.
I mean, I liked Michael Clark Duncan in the movie. I think he fit that role.
Yeah.
You know, outside of the
we do not speak of that movie,
but no, I mean, I don't know. I thought he represented Kingpin well in that film.
He was the best part of that movie. Well, him and Elektra. But I did not buy what's that? Yeah, thank you. I did not buy him as Daredevil at all.
Well, I mean, that was at the height of his lazy, I don't give a fuck part of his career.
I think he paid to be in that movie.
Point. I mean, because that was about the same time. What was all that when he was? What was that?
Jiggly.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That was right about that time. So it was at the height of him not giving a shit anymore. I mean, I've liked a lot of his stuff that he's directed and done since.
Oh sure.
Blame J-Lo.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's so bad as much as it is that he gets scripted really poorly. Because he's like, at least in the first, like, I didn't really care for Batman versus Superman, but I thought he did a good job as Batman and Bruce Wayne in those movies. I did too. Bad at all.
I did too. I bought that more than Daredevil.
I think the scripts were bad for him in that still. I mean, I think with a better script that he would have really shown in that role.
He just looks like Bruce Wayne, like the way you would picture with the fucking square jaw and everything, right? Like,
and he's big enough. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nobody ever casts a guy that's big enough to play Batman. Like, Batman is enormous. He's a big dude. You know what I mean? There's nothing little about that guy. And so, like, he's a guy that's big enough to play that role. And I think he could have done a good job, but like, it's just like with the Justice League thing, right? All the problems with the Justice League weren't the story or the actors. It was the script. That script sucked.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you hack it into a million different pieces there. You know, you got Zack Snyder's bit, and then you go and bring Whedon in to try to lighten it up, and you can tell which parts are Whedon, which parts are Snyder, and they don't mesh. You know, story.
It's the same problem with what's the other one that with Will Smith?
Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. That should have been a great movie, but script-wise, it was god awful.
Well, what they did,
I mean, some of the worst.
What they did is they got what was it, like a movie music video company to do you know the scenes where they're introducing them and all that stuff. They went to a music video company that does those things, so they did that part, and it was all hacked and piecemealed together. You know, if you're not going to have somebody that's interested in doing it, doing it or going with it, you're not
true.
Yeah.
To
I mean, even if you take your creative liberties, it's fine, but you gotta have somebody that at least understands the core of what the source is and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is what's going on with the Marvel movies. You got a bunch of guys that seem to really know their shit. You know what I mean? There's so many deep references in those movies. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff in them. They're so true to the universe. Even though when they take liberties, they're still very true to the extended Marvel universe in some way, form, or fashion.
Oh yeah, they take plenty of liberties with those movies from the comics. That irritates some of the more diehard comic book fans.
You see, I consider myself one of those, and I really wasn't bothered by it because I knew that they have to do that.
Yeah,
in the book, it just isn't going to translate well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not just that, but you also got to think about like your average person isn't a deep Marvel Comics fan necessarily, right? So if you're going to make the Infinity Gauntlet into a movie series, you can't really throw the original Thanos quest line in there where he goes and he takes the gems from a bunch of characters like the Champion and all these characters, the In-Betweener that nobody's ever heard of before. You know what I mean? That's going to just throw people off. People want to see like characters they're at least somewhat familiar with, you know? So they changed it up. They worked it together so everything would fit.
Yeah. So what do you think of the change in his motivation for Infinity War?
Oh, you mean so that
so from
resources?
Well, no, from serving death to being almost Malthusian kind of quest.
I think that's an interesting conundrum because like that's kind of taking a principle that's core to Thanos' character going back for as long as anybody can remember and erasing it. But once again, like how do you tie? I guess you could tie that in. It would have been a pretty cool thing, because then they could have also brought Mephisto into it, which would have also been very cool because it's any number of people you could cast to play Mephisto that would be freaking awesome.
They'll bring him in eventually.
They might. I think that Marvel. I think that Marvel's getting the rights to the Fantastic Four back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got.
And so that's going to be a game changer as well, because there's a lot of characters like Silver Surfer and Mephisto and characters like that that are tied really heavily into the Fantastic Four series, and which is why you don't really see them. And so it's going to be interesting to see that come back out, because it's the same thing with the Infinity War thing. Like Silver Surfer played a huge, huge role in the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yep.
And all of everything leading up to it, as did Adam Warlock, right? So bringing that. They're bringing that in on the next one. That's going to be pretty righteous.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah. Well, you think they're going to try to mix the X-Men in when this Fox deal finally goes through?
Hopefully so. Hopefully so, because that was one of the cool things about the big fight scene in the Infinity Gauntlet. All the big fight scenes were so awesome. You know what I mean? Even though Thanos just smashes everybody, it was still cool to watch it go down. You know what I mean? Like, and watch the different ways that he defeated them. It was a really well thought out series. I don't know that there's ever been a Marvel series that I thought was better
than the Infinity Gauntlet saga.
Yeah, I think that's probably for a standalone series. You know what I mean? I think that's probably my all-time favorite.
The only one I can think of really that might have at least been in the ballpark would have been the Secret Wars.
Secret Wars was awesome. Yeah. Especially when Dr. Doom took the Beyonder's powers. What?
Yeah.
Because Dr. Doom will get you, man. Dr. Doom will get you. You got to watch him.
And I love that because that's when we first saw the black suit that Spider-Man ends up wearing too, right?
The symbiote, because his suit gets destroyed over in the other realm, and the aliens give him that thing to, That is correct. There was a lot of stuff that came down due to the Secret Wars.
Speaking about the suit, have you guys seen Venom?
No.
Oh, I liked it. I thought they could have had more Venom in it, but I'm sure they'll bring that out in another movie. But I thought it was really, really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
you seen it?
No, I didn't go see it.
Well, it got beat up by critics, but I never listen to critics.
No,
I don't listen to critics.
Well, I mean, there's a couple I'll listen to. Like, I like Jeremy John's take. His taste is pretty close to mine. So if there's a movie I'm not sure about, and he says he likes it, I'll go check it out. That's how I ended up seeing Pacific Rim. I wasn't sold on it, but he said, this is awesome. So I went.
Fucking robots beating up on kaijus. What could be bad?
Yeah, and I really love the first one. The second one was, but that's basically they're moving on without Del Toro, so they can actually make a series out of it.
It's weak.
How do you remove Del Toro from a freaking series, man? That guy's a genius.
Because he's too busy with everything else, and he can't stay on one thing to build the series that they want to build out of it. I mean that's
are they going to?
Well, I mean I assume that's what they were trying to do with the second one. You know, which I didn't think was
no.
bad.
I mean, like, are they
going to
go
more
be like a
sequels
TV, or is it going to be a TV series?
No, I think they were going like a film franchise. I think they're planning a couple more sequels and stuff, but that was part of it. Is he was taking too long. I mean, he was taking too long with his other projects before he could come back to this one that he built, and you know, which sucks because they do away with like Hannibal Chow, which was the best part of the first, was the best character in the first one, and doesn't show up at all in the second one. And they basically write all the characters out of the first one out so that they can go ahead with this new group. So we'll see where it goes from here, but
hopefully they circle back and find some. Well, mind you, it's in the future too, right? Because it's like the kid of one of the guys too that's in the second one.
Well, it's not really all that far into the future, because the rest of the characters don't seem to be all that much older.
Well, that's true.
You know, when you have all the characters from the first one that were still in it. I don't know. They didn't say anything about how they wrote out Hunnam's character.
Don't know.
Yeah,
they didn't touch on that at all.
No, yeah, your main character doesn't show up in the sequel, and it's not touched on at all.
Yeah, well, who knows what goes through the minds of those Hollywood execs, anyways.
Money.
Well, yeah,
they're not very good. Yeah, but they're not very good at the money thing.
No.
I mean, that Turtles reboot they did with Michael Bay was. That's basically the Hollywood suits that are just out of touch with what stuff is.
Yeah, well, you know what though, Turtles is a really hard franchise because it got so intertwined with like super childish, super kiddie stuff, and the original source material was not that at all. It was not a kids. It was violent as hell.
It's not as bad as what people make it out to be, you know. Compared to what we see, like you could have done it in the vein of Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy in the Marvel's universe, kids love, and those are the most. I think they have the record for the most kills in those films, and they basically try to up the ante, or they were with Gunn, with how many kills they take. I mean, you get the scene in the first one where Groot impales, was it 6 or 7 of the enemy warriors right there on screen, turns around and smiles to the camera.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
And but you know, I don't think it's hard to do a good Turtles film, you know, honestly.
Well, the originals were okay.
The first one was really good, and that's because they used a lot of the original source material as storyboards.
They did. They did.
Yeah, they took a bunch of scenes that they liked. That's like, man, these seem like right out of a movie, and then they wrote a story to fit those scenes together. And it turns out really, really strong. But I mean, there you had a director that cared and understood the material.
Agreed.
You know,
I'd like to see a Turtles reboot that would be like a reasonable reboot of like the same way it would be. I'd like to see a Crow reboot. I'd love to see him reboot the Crow, but I'd like to see him do it the same way that Sin City was made. Like that dark, that gritty.
The Crow's reboot's in the works, isn't it? Or has that been shut down?
Yeah, it is. No, as far as I know, that's back on.
Yeah, that's been an on and off thing here for years. The Crow reboot.
Yeah. Let's check it out right now.
Yeah, but I think part of their problem with that Turtles reboot is basically, Michael Bay made a shit ton of money with Transformers. Let's give him this property that he doesn't care about, and it took a lot of fan backlash to just rewrite some of the really bad decisions they were making with it and try to piece it together. And that film is just a mess. You can tell that the film they put out in theaters wasn't what they wanted, and they added these extra scenes just to try to please the fans away from their thing. like the whole with Fitchner playing the Shredder instead of, an Asian guy doing it. Was a dumb decision, and the Mecha Shredder and all that other. Just bad. They don't understand it. I might have to do something with that and do maybe down the road stream with people offline just to watch it so you can see how angry I get at it.
They're saying, no, this is too old to be true on Collider. They're originally saying that it was supposed to come out in October of 2019. But that's back when they still had Jason Momoa on board. And he's no longer on board.
Yeah.
And Corin Hardy is no longer directing. Yeah, I couldn't see Momoa as the Crow. I like him as Aquaman, but not the Crow. Yeah, it looks like as of May of this year, it looks like it's still on hold again. So maybe I was reading some older material.
Yeah, it's like that's all I've heard for years. It's been the on again, off again stuff with it.
Sure. And it was like that for the Justice League too. For a long time.
Yep.
Oh well. All right, you guys, it's just about 6 o'clock and I'm gonna go and get some food. So
sounds good.
Then call her quits. Well, 6 o'clock for me, I have no idea. I think for Duke it's almost past his bedtime now. but he's an insomniac, so which I used to be until I started working at 5 in the fucking morning. So
doesn't matter.
Just
doesn't matter. I can work at 5 in the morning. I can work at whatever time in the morning, and I am still up late.
Yeah.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, that was me last night. Couldn't get to sleep, and then
it
back
happens.
in at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, that's when I start. I have to be up at 4 so I can be at work by 5. It's fucking start time. Stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Dude, let's just do a geek stream sometime, man. Just a random, just for the point of that, just talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I'd be totally down. Or music streams, but also, I'm thinking of adding a new idea for my streams is where we just get together on the holidays. Like, you know how I did the Halloween stream and we all told ghost stories for the Halloween stream. I thought that was pretty fun, and I think we could do it for any of the holidays, man. Even if it's we could have done one for well, here it's Remembrance Day, down there it's Veterans Day. We could have done one for that. We could have done one for Thanksgiving. I want to do a Christmas one. See if we have some old. I want everyone to get together and tell some funny Christmas stories, you know, from around your past and some weird presents that you got, that kind of thing. I think that could be a lot of fun to do too. If you guys are down for that, I'll set something up. What do you think?
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. Like some of the weirdest gifts. Of course, for me, it'll be Hanukkah gifts, but I've got a few I can bring up. But yeah, definitely because I used to stay. Hanukkah was always moved, right? Because the Jewish calendar is 13 months, so it floats around, and it rarely runs right over Christmas. So every year I just run 2 doors down to my best friend's place and crash at his place overnight. And his parents, you know, thought it was great that I would come over and hang out there, and they always got me something from Santa that was under the tree every year. One of the best ones was when Duke, you might remember this, when zipper ties were a thing. You remember those things?
Zipper ties.
The skinny black ones, and you could zip them up instead of having to do them up.
Yes.
And I really, really wanted one, and I got one from Santa that year, which was pretty cool. And then I looked just like all the other new wave kids at the time. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Reese, I don't know what happened to you. Probably fell asleep, or
I'm still here.
You're just talking about shit you don't care about because it's not gun related. Is that what it is?
Well, I have no opinion on it, so I can't comment.
All right, he's just here filling a hole. Oh, that's what she said. Anyways.
All
right, thanks everyone for watching. All one of you that's left, because we probably went so off topic that you got bored. That's fine. It's probably me too tied into it. So anyway, that happens from time to time. Thanks, Red. Thanks, Duke. Thanks, Reese. And Remember, guys, as I always say, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.